Jamani, it would seem ndoa ya producer iko on the rocks. So, my God. Ndoa ya producer wetu is shaking, hanging on by a thread. And here we are to discuss yet another topic about marriage. And today we are demystifying a few myths about marriage, or rather why people think most marriages do not work. And at the top of the list, there is a myth that says that all husbands do the leading in the house, or rather the husband will lead in everything, in every single aspect of a relationship. Now, while this may be expected, unfortunately, it would be putting too much pressure on one person. Yes, the husband does take charge. We've talked about it before. We want a man who leads. I want to be with my man and shut off my brain. I want my man to take charge. But you should also be there. A head is not functional without a neck. You should also be there to take charge in situations that are needed. There's no way I'm going to be out here, telling relatives we're not sending them money. Or living, giving my husband. All I'm saying is there are situations that your husband will take charge, and there are situations that you as the wife will take charge. The same way you would feel uncomfortable if you are giving pressure to perform a certain way that your other partner should be doing. You're like, but that's not, you should be doing that. It's the same way sometimes your partner would be like, but you could do that. Why not take charge of that? So putting the responsibility and the leadership of the relationship on one person is simply too much pressure.
This one has actually shocked me. And I believe this for a long time, that your spouse's love languages are fixed. I thought that was the case. But like when I really think about it, okay, first of all, what are the 5 love languages? Physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and what else? Those are the 5, right? Those are the 5. And oftentimes, actually, from what I'm reading here, they say that love languages are not fixed because human beings are not fixed.
Yeah.
And if you really, really think about it, if your love language is acts of service, and I fill your cup with acts of service, like your cup is full, will you want more? No. You may switch up and want something else. If I'm giving you physical touch all the time, and you feel like that cup is full, you may gravitate towards something else. Maybe I'm giving you a lot of gifts, maybe I'm giving you a lot of physical touch, but I'm not giving you quality time. So you start hungering for quality time. Your love language switches to now quality time, and you would rather have quality time over acts of service or over physical touch. And I see how, because of the evolution of humanity, it is possible that your love language will shift every so often depending on what you need. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. And there's this myth of mwanamke ni kuvumilia.
Girl.
A woman is always compromising. And we need to demystify that and say it is false. No person should be constantly compromising or constantly putting themselves in a situation where everything else comes first, I come second. That is a very toxic situation. Even you don't want to be stuck in a relationship where you never feel seen, where nobody ever listens to what you have to say, where nobody ever eases their ego and says, you know what, babe, I see where you're coming from, higher. Nihivo, we can do it your way. Where that one person is always right and the wife is always over there saying, okay, it is okay. And that's why sometimes it's a bit difficult to take marriage advice from older women, because theirs is based on compromise, vumilia. Oh, hakukuja jana usiku, ni sawa. Sinajua nyumbani ni wapi. That is toxic. If my husband, who married me in front of witnesses, does not come home at night, he is accountable to me. Akuja niambie alikuwa wapi, alikuwa police station wapi, alikuwa mochari gani, and how did he reanimate to come home in the morning? Because those are the only options. Because why did you not come home? So that lack of accountability and a situation where the man can do whatever he wants, but it's the job of the woman to keep things together and to compromise for the sake of their marriage, that's toxic.
Another one that I found interesting is when people say that us guys never fight, we never disagree. I don't think it's the not fighting. I think it's in the how you fight. Because some people, not everyone, okay, people think about fighting as shouting at the top of your voice and like attacking each other and physical, altercations and stuff like that. That is what people kind of look at and how people think of fighting whenever you say, my husband and I fought. That's not necessarily it. Marriage is not about uniformity, it is about unity. So whenever you start to realize that you have a disagreement with your partner, the how you deal with that is what determines a success or a failure, right? You can easily sit down, talk to each other. I know what you're afraid of. You know what I'm afraid of. I know what you're averse to. You know what I'm averse to. I know the expectations and the desires you have, and so on and so forth. And so when I'm coming to you and telling you something and bringing it up in a conversation or during a disagreement, I am not using that as a bargaining chip. Like, I am afraid of abandonment, and you're like, yeah, if you don't do this, I'm going to leave you. Why would you do that? Like, you know what I mean? So most people who say that they don't disagree with their partners, it could be one of two things. Either you guys know how to disagree in a healthy way that works for both of you, or you are leaving things and bottling things up. And guess what? They will emerge later in a situation where it's irreparable. So it's best to talk about things when you're going through these disagreements in a respectful and kind way. We're fighting the problem, we're not fighting to leave the marriage, okay? So we're fighting to keep our marriage in check, but we are fighting for our marriage at the same time. Healthy, you're not, imagine if you fight with someone and every time you bring something up or you're angry about something, you always threaten them with the thing that they're afraid of the most. Yeah, you will never amount as a mother, and you know that they struggle with their maternal capabilities. You will never be able to be a millionaire, and for sure this person has already told you by there, I'm afraid I'm about to lose my job and stuff. Do you get me? Yeah.
And there's the myth that once you get married, sex will be frequent. Sex will be every day. In fact, it might be even 3 times a day. Every day, twa. In the morning, in the evening. Oh boy, do I have news for you. Here's the thing. As we're not saying it won't be frequent. All we're saying is there are weeks where it's going to be frequent.
There are seasons.
Every day, every hour, and that's okay. But there will also be weeks when it's going to be rare and far in between. And that is okay, that is normal. Sometimes even the longer you're with your partner, the more you know about her cycle. And as Kathami has said, if you guys are not solving your issues in the moment, you're letting things build up. As it is building up, I'm becoming resentful of you. There's no way you're going to touch me or come and kiss me. And I'm just like, but you don't care about me, So the frequency will be different, but it's not a guarantee that once you get married, you're going to be having sex every single day. And also, being married does not mean all of a sudden you have an all-free access to your partner's body. They are still a human being. Consent is still a thing. So if they do not consent, that's still valid.
Happy wife, happy life is a statement that has been used over time, and I feel like now it's being misused. The myth, it is always the husband to blame. That's not true, though. And I know it's a difficult one to accept, because a lot of us would rather shift blame, all right? A lot of us would rather make it someone else's problem. But in reality, it's not always a them problem. Sometimes it's a you problem, And oftentimes people say, oh, it's the man who's, he should have done, he should have said, da. It's somehow always shifted to it's the man's problem in the marriage. But finger pointing is not the way to go, because marriage is really not about accusing each other, but it's about owning up to what you're doing. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? When someone points something out, you accepting and taking accountability for the thing that you did that was wrong. And ultimately, that's kind of how you find balance. Yeah.
And I think when people talk about how honeymoon phase is going to end, it's going to end, I don't believe that is true. I believe that people change. I also believe that if you're in a relationship or a marriage with me, you are actively working towards us being happy. We are both putting in the work, because the honeymoon phase ends when somebody gives up, when somebody is no longer putting in the effort. So as long as we are both intentional about our marriage working, our marriage being a safe space for both of us, that honeymoon phase is up until when you guys are 103, okay? So keep it spicy.
Children are a blessing in every marriage. Children are only a blessing if you've planned for them, okay? And even if you haven't planned for them, when they do come, as a miracle that they are, when you discuss how to raise this child and you make sure that you are on the same page about it. Not every child is planned for, but not every child is planned for in the fact that not every pregnancy is a plan, but every child is a plan, has to be a plan. Simply because you got pregnant doesn't necessarily mean that you're now ready to be a parent. That's not how parenting works. And some situations where you guys don't discuss the child and the impact and try and stay close to each other and try and be active in your relationship, oftentimes you'll find that you get overwhelmed because children do take up a lot of your time, your energy, your thought, right? And if you don't make it intentional that you are still keeping your relationship primary and then the child's relationship another relationship, you will often get drowned in that situation. So be mindful of what you choose. Be ready for it, and even if you're not ready for it, take active steps in order to prepare yourself.
Yeah, and I feel the biggest discredit to your marriage would be believing that your partner will stay the same.
Yeah.
People change every day, and
Absolutely.
it's not bad to change. Even you're not the same person you were 4 minutes ago. You're not the same person you were 3 months ago. You're in a completely different space, completely different mindset. So as you evolve, also realize that your partner is also evolving. The things that used to bamba them, if you guys used to be a couple that dundas from Friday to Monday, and all of a sudden your husband is like, oh, yeah, I can't go on Sunday because there's work on Monday. It's not them being brand new or shaming you. It's simply they have new priorities. This is not something I want to do. If your partner is like, oh, this is not something I'm willing to do anymore, it's not them switching up on you. It's them finding joy in other things. So just always remember that as you are evolving, so is your partner.
And even in adaptation as well, because you said people change for many different circumstances. Even health is a thing that you would change for, you know? If I get sick, life is going to change automatically. If I get a heart attack, I'm going to change my diet. So if we used to go binge eating every weekend at whatever XYZ, and now I can't do that anymore, those things change. Family, because you're not the only people in this marriage, you also have family members, in-laws, other children, nieces and nephews, and their changes in life can also affect yours, right? A parent is sick, you have to change, you have to adapt. All of these things considered are adapting and evolving, but adapting and evolving together. It is about the commitment of being together. We chose this, therefore we shall be able to maneuver it, because that's the whole point. It's like having a best friend for life, right? If you let your best friend down, the best friend for life thing starts to become tricky. Anyway, my name is Katomi. We gonna see you next week, same time, same place.
My name is Turife. Have a lovely weekend. See you next week.